Everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. It's a beautiful day in Edmonton. I hope it's lovely wherever you are, a nice spring day. I'm Rhonda Spihan, the Leisure Manager at Paul Travel, and co-hosting with me today is Julie Bekdashe. Hi, Julie.
Hi.
Our special guest, who we're thrilled to have with us, is Avril Matthews, and she is with the Visit Tourism Tours Board.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, nice having you. So everybody, thank you again so much for joining us on our virtual travel escape series. It seems like right now there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Things are looking like they're starting to slowly open up. It's going to be a while until the world is back up and open, but we wanted to give you a little opportunity to explore a place that you might be dreaming of going, or perhaps you've visited before and want to rekindle those memories. So we've created this virtual travel escapes platform. So we really hope that you're enjoying it. We've been getting some really great feedback, so please keep that coming to us. Today's episode, I guess we'll say, is on Jordan. So quite excited to see this and have you join us in for this little taste of Jordan. I know it's a little jewel in the Arabic countries, I guess you would say. Not a lot of us think of it right away when we think of, you know, visiting into more so, I would say Egypt or Israel, but we hope you find this informative and inspiring. So our presentation will last for about an hour today. Everybody is on mute or silent. So if you want to ask any questions, please do put them in the Q&A box that was highlighted at the bottom of your screen there. And any comments that you might have, perhaps if you've been to Jordan before, maybe your fun experiences that you have, put it in the chat box. We'd love to hear from you. Also, all of these webinars are being recorded. They're listed on our Paul Travel website. So if you want to take a look at that, perhaps you missed our last few that we had over the last 3 weeks, which was South Australia, Galapagos Islands, and Tanzania and Kenya. So we'll post this one as well tomorrow on our website. So please have a visit there. So I'm just going to turn this over to Julie, who's going to introduce our lovely guest today. Julie?
Okay, welcome everyone. I was just thinking today, one of the things I love what I do, and one of the things I really enjoy is when we get, like as travel agents, when tour companies host us to, you know, for us to go and attend sessions where we get to learn and what the new travel trends are, new hotels, new tours, and meet the different tourist boards. So that's where I got to meet Avril in the fall. And there was an Africa and Middle East session. We had a whole bunch of suppliers. So it was so good to meet Avril. I had some clients going to Jordan just after that, and she gave me some great great dining recommendations for them for Amman. So thank you so much for that.
Nice.
Just to give you a little bit, a little background on Avril. Avril is known as a wanderer, always seeking cultural immersion by visiting historic sites, exploring a culinary scene, and most important of all, meeting the locals. Fortunately for her, for Avril, her work and her joy of travel have come together as she is now the Canadian rep for the country of Jordan. Avril can't wait to share her photos of her last couple trips to the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan with you. Jordan is a place where you will go for the history, but you'll stay for the hospitality. So we're excited to hear your stories and have you share your experience with us. So welcome, Avril, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. That's great. One of the things that I always say is, I'm just going to share my screen with everybody, is that I just love doing these webinars because I have shown my pictures so often to my family that they've pretty much had it. So now I get a fresh audience to be able to show these pictures to. And what I like to do when I do these presentations is really share with you some of my personal experiences, because I, like you, did not wake up one morning and go, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to go to Jordan. It's just not that kind of destination, which I think really makes it even more exotic. So when I started working with Jordan, I started with them on May 1st of 2017. Holy cow, I can't believe it's that long ago. And on May 7th, I was sitting on a plane on my way to Jordan for the first time. So talk about a dream come true. So I'm super excited to bring this presentation to you today. And by all means, don't hesitate to pop a question in there. If I haven't made something clear, if I've skipped by something, please put it in and we'll address that. Julie's going to keep track of that for me and we'll address that. So here we go. So I like to start really just to give you a sense of exactly where Jordan is. So it is located in the heart of the Middle East. The Jordanians like to say that they live in a noisy neighborhood or that they have noisy neighbors. And boy, do they ever. So you can see that they are bordered by some interesting countries. But what also Jordanians like to say is that they are the Switzerland of the Middle East. So it is a very peaceful country to visit. I've been there several times. I would tell you as well, there's no weirdness about women traveling in Jordan. You don't have to cover up in particular ways. You'd probably dress a little more conservatively than you would if you were maybe going to California or something, but that doesn't mean that you can't, like basically I wear what I would wear here. It's probably not the place you're going to break out your J-Lo dress, but you probably aren't doing that in any event when you're traveling. So this is an easy country to navigate. So here we go. So when you can actually fly direct from Montreal to Amman when travel returns to normal through Royal Jordanian Airlines. So you can go from Montreal to Amman in 11 hours, and makes it great from I mean obviously you'd still need to get to Montreal, but you don't have to go through Frankfurt or some of the European countries to get there. It can be quite a direct route. And Amman is a city, a chaotic Middle Eastern city with everything you'd expect. Lots of noise, traffic, amazing food, falafel stands, and the people are just incredible. So the country itself is a population of 9 million, and about 7 million of those folks live in Amman. So it is a humongous city. And these are some of my pictures. And, if you look at the far left-hand corner, you can see in the horizon where the city is still going. It's almost entirely carved out of white limestone blocks. So that's why it's quite a monochromatic viewpoint. And I took this picture standing up on the Citadel, which is the highest hill or mountain in in Amman. And in the middle there, you can see what looks like a stadium, and that's the Roman Theater. And the Roman Theater is from 250 AD, so it's quite old. And the point of this really is to show you that you don't need to go far to experience the history that Jordan holds. Often what we say is you go to Jordan for the history, but you stay for the hospitality. So the city of Amman has grown up around all of this amazing history. And I put this picture in. So this is the Roman Theater. And you can see that there's, I always say, you can see the hordes of people you need to walk through to get into this, which is me trying to be funny and saying that you're not going to have to line up for hours and hours like you do in some other historic sites to see any of these attractions. So this is an easy access. You're downtown. Right next to this is the souk, which is an amazing market to experience, and lots of shopping and hotels around this area. So again, you'll find that the history is everywhere in Jordan. Just, oops, sorry, my mouse is not cooperating. Here we go. What is, sorry folks, let me just.
Avril, we had lost you, but I think it's back again.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. Did you hear my story about the theater, the amphitheater?
No.
Okay. Sorry, that's an unusual outcome here. So let me just see if I can get us back to where we were.
Yeah, I'm just checking on my side of things here. I see that everything is okay on our end, but sorry everybody out there for the little technical difficulties. We'll be back up here quite shortly.
Yeah.
If everybody can let us know if you can see us or not. Okay, yeah, I'm getting some answers that are okay, so everybody can see us.
Some
So
people
that's
did
good.
hear. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay, so sorry, we'll be up in Avril, just kind of get it all started here again.
Yeah, sorry guys, I
No,
apologize for that.
it's technology.
I think maybe it might have something. Yeah, you got to kind of roll with that in these times now, don't we? So
Yeah,
I'm not sure
absolutely.
where I left off, and I won't belabor this point, but my point is that the history is everywhere in Jordan, and the cities have kind of grown up around it. So this right next door to this Roman theater is the Sikh, which is a great shopping area, like a market, and it's it's right embedded in the downtown. So you're having a coffee or a glass of wine, and you can walk over here, and it's right there. Oh boy, don't know why this is going. So I mentioned to you that I was up on the Citadel where I was taking those pictures of downtown Amman, and this is one of the buildings in here. And then again, going back to the history, this is the Temple of Hercules that's embedded right in the downtown. Again, you can see downtown Amman is surrounding this area, and you can see Hercules is part of his hand sitting there in the foreground. So you'll really find that this area is just chock full of culture with Roman and Greek history. And really, this whole area is the cradle of civilization. So you will see a phenomenal amount of history when you come to Jordan. And if you knew me, you would know that it's always about the food. So in this case, these are some dishes that you'll enjoy when you're in Jordan. And in this table on the right-hand side, you'll see that this was a table for only, I think we were 8 people. So when you go to Jordan, they feed you like as if you were in Italy. It's just they cannot feed you enough. And the food is phenomenal. The flavors, I mean, who doesn't love Middle Eastern food? The image in the middle is some street vendor carts, so corn on the cob, and those bags of what looks like nuts that are closest to us are actually fava beans that have been warmed and salted and buttered, and they are delicious. So you kind of walk around the city munching on these. And then on the left hand side is a dish that's almost like a hamburger patty on the bottom. And then it's got a tahini sauce and then cut potatoes on top, and it's all baked, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And then that green drink on the bottom there, that's a common drink you'll have in Jordan. It's called a lemon mint drink, and it is very sour and very sweet, so sweet with sugar. So it's got a real sweet and sour and mint. And I'll tell you, in that heat, there's nothing like that after you've been out hiking and stuff. You'll see that everywhere. These are some examples of some beautiful restaurants inside. This one on the left, Julie, I had given you this as one of our recommendations. It's a restaurant called Sufra, and it's right in downtown Amman. And the one on the left is a fairly new restaurant and a brand new chef, and they're just making some incredible foods. So when you're going to Jordan, you're going to love the food. And the shopping for spices. I'll tell you, when I come back from Jordan, I come through customs and I look like a drug runner because I have all these bags of spices, and they always ask me, and I'm like, oh, that's za'atar and sumac and all of these wonderful things. But the people are just incredible, and they're so excited to share their culture with you. And then I put in these pictures of some hotels here for you because a lot of people think that when you go to Jordan, it's going to be very rustic. And while you can have a full breadth of accommodation, you will see that some of the most beautiful hotels in the world are located in Jordan throughout the country. And these ones are in Amman. So on the left-hand side, there is the Fairmont Amman. It's the newest hotel that's gone into Jordan. I had a chance to stay there, probably one of the most beautiful hotels I've ever seen. We have a St. Regis now in Amman, and even a W hotel. So you can see that it's not exactly all rustic. They have some phenomenal properties. But there is a full range. You'll find Best Westerns there, Holiday Inns, Marriott, the whole gamut. So it is quite easy. Nice to come back to a beautiful hotel after you've been out all day. And just to give you a sense of scale of this country, if you were to drive direct from Amman to Aqaba, which is on the most southern tip of Jordan, it would be a 6-hour ride if you went direct and didn't stop. So the Dead Sea is about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes right outside of Amman. So this is often the next stop, and sometimes people use this stop as the last stop of their stay, so that they can transfer directly from the Dead Sea to the Amman airport for their flights. That's how close it is. So this is a picture of it's the Kempinski Ishtar Hotel, and it's overlooking the Dead Sea here. And this is one of my pictures here from my balcony. So there's stunning pools, and you'll find that there's just gorgeous hotels in this area, and the beach is not the type of beach that you want to lay on and sun on. It's quite inhospitable, as you kind of get a sense. So people tend to go down and hang out in the water and then come back up to these pools. So this will give you a better sense of what that beach looks like. So most of the hotels have shoes that you can borrow, like the rubbery type shoes, so you can go in the water. It's quite rocky, and that white look that you see there is salt crystals. So the salt, the saline level of this water is 30 times saltier than any other water in the ocean. This is one of my colleagues who I was traveling with, and he'd probably kill me if he knew I had been including his picture in my webinar. But you will see that you can literally not float when you go there. So your legs spring up, and it's quite the experience. And here's us putting some mud all over us. So this is the routine that you do when you're at the Dead Sea. And you can see below us around our knees, there's like pits there, that you can dig into. And basically they unceremoniously dig up the mud from the bottom of the sea. Because of the saline level, nothing can live in it. So there's no boats traveling in that. There's no fish or seaweed or anything. So basically you take this mud that's got all of the minerals from those dead fish, and it doesn't smell bad at all. It actually smells quite nice. And you spread it all over you, and then you let it dry in the sun, kind of like you would a mask. And then you go into the water and let it soak off. So you can see we have our rubbery shoes on there, and it's so much fun. This is an Instagram moment waiting for a place to happen. So here's us again, and you can see in my hand here on the right, you can see the salt crystals there. So, nothing like bringing a couple of those home and setting them in a dish in your living room and bragging about, oh, that's from the Dead Sea, no big deal. And then there's Petra, and thank goodness for Petra, because that really puts Jordan on the map. Petra is absolutely phenomenal. But it's far more than this one building that everybody knows. This building, it's the Treasury, and so you walk in through the Treasury building, in through the Sikh. Again, it's another Sikh that you go through. It's got these beautiful high rosy colored rock valley that you kind of walk through. It's very easy to walk into this. It's about a 30-minute walk to this building. There are horses as well that you can take, and buggies if there's any limitations on mobility. So they have that there as well. But the walk, if you can do it, I would highly recommend. And the history is all the way through that walk. There are guides on site too who will give you a tour of this area, explain what exactly it is that you're looking at. And then 3 times a week, they do light that whole walk in and the Treasury by candlelight. And I highly recommend, if you have a chance to go, that you go in first and see it at night. So you would arrive in the area of Petra at night, check into your hotel, have dinner, and then go in and see this experience, because it's unlike anything you'll ever experience. It's absolutely phenomenal. And then when you go back to your hotel that night and then go back in the morning, it's a completely different experience because of course it's daylight and you can see everything. So these pictures here to show you what I mean when I say there's so many more buildings than that one famous building. This building on the right is called the monastery, and it's up a harrowing 900 stairs to get to this, and it's not industrial type stairs. These stairs are ancient stairs, so they vary in height, and they're somewhat decrepit. So it is a serious hike to get here, but wow, what a reward once you do. And you can see there by one of the columns there's a person standing there. You can see that person. That gives you a sense of the scale of how big this building is. And then on the left, you'll see that every rock face in this area is carved, and there's Bedouin caves and places where, long ago they would have had houses and shops and schools, and everything would have been built into those rocks. And another picture here. So people often ask me, how long would you stay in this area of Petra? And I always say, it's kind of like how long is a piece of string. It depends on how much time you have and how much hiking you like to do. Many of these buildings that you see in this image in the back there, you can hike right into them and explore. They're not deep, and typically they're not huge spaces, but it is still pretty fascinating to be able to walk in there, and you can see the remnants of the fire that has burned in there, marking the inside of the rocks from centuries ago. So it is quite an experience. I highly, highly recommend it. There's numerous hotels you can stay in when you go to this area. I had the fortune of staying in a Marriott, and this Marriott is probably a 10-minute taxi ride to the main gate where you enter into the area of Petra. But the payoff here is that you're overlooking this huge canyons, which really rival the Grand Canyon, to be honest. It's so this picture, you can see there would be a pool that has been cropped out of this image, but I wanted you to see this so that you could see the breadth of this valley that the Petra is part of. It's really quite outstanding. And then again, further south, so we're moving our way down the country, is Wadi Rum. And Wadi Rum is, of course, famous for its backdrop to many famous movies. So you'll see Wadi Rum is been used in many movies, like if you've ever seen the movie The Martian with Matt Damon, it's often used as Mars, as the backdrop for Mars, because it has this bright red sand and these really unusual rock formations. And one of the movies that was filmed here was the Lawrence of Arabia. And so this is the train that was used in that film. And this is the classic tourist picture that everybody has to take when they go there. But you can climb all over this train, but this is the actual train that they used in the movie. So it's quite fun to experience that and see that as well. And then when you go there, there's of course no hotels in Wadi Rum. You are camping or glamping with Bedouins. And the Bedouin people are the native people of Jordan, and they're throughout Jordan, but there's definitely a lot of Bedouins in the Wadi Rum area, and they are so hospitable. So again, you're going to see phenomenal sunsets. It's quite common when you're staying in one of these Bedouin camps that they take you out on a Jeep safari, and that's where I took these pictures. So you get a sense of how big this space is. It's unbelievable. And wherever Bedouins go, mint tea follows. So you can see the picture on the right. They just, get some brush from around and start a fire, and there's always mint tea. And fair warning, this mint tea is so sweet, it'll make your teeth ring. They love their sugar. So far more than I would ever imagine putting in my tea, but it's quite the experience nonetheless. You got it, when in Rome, right? So when in Wadi Rum, you got to drink their mint tea. And so camel safaris are also big in Jordan. So this is a great picture. I love how monochromatic it is. I don't know if any of you have ever been on. I'm terrified of horses. So for me to go on a camel is quite the feat, but it was quite easy. And you have a person, they're chained together so they're not going to run away. And quite frankly, camels are lazy. So they kind of meander across. So you're not on any mission there. But again, such a cool way to experience the area that you're in. There's me looking terrified, and one of my colleagues there beside me, but what a blast. So we did this first thing in the morning. That's why I have my coat on, because I'm always cold. And as the day warms up, of course, it gets warmer and warmer, but quite the experience. And again, back to food. So this is my most favorite. So when you're eating in these camps, there's no restaurant. So when you're there, it's like an all-inclusive. And I use quotes, air quotes there, because it's not like an all-inclusive in a cruise ship or anything like that. You are still in the middle of the desert. So, but they feed you just delicious food. But this in particular is one of my favorites. So this man is making a bread called Shrek. And Shrek is very thin bread, almost like a pita, but super, super thin. And he'll take this off this dome and then flip it, and then he'll fold it up and then break it into pieces. And so that's what you would eat your dinner with. You would have hummus and rice and chicken, and it's really quite, it's my favorite. It's quite delicious. They have jam in the morning. They make this with every meal. So you know, have butter and jam on it in the morning and whatever. So it's my favorite. And so the picture on the left is the camp that I stayed in. It's called Captain's Camp. I've stayed in a few. There are variations in the types of accommodation. So I'll show you some interior pictures of the tents, but in all cases, it's glamping. So all these rooms have their own bathrooms inside and showers. Now, it's not the Ritz, but it's still a flushing toilet and a shower nonetheless. And you can see there on the picture on the right, you can see that the tents are on the left and the domes. So these domes are very popular in Jordan now. And what's great about those is you can, when you slip into bed at night, you're looking out over the stars, which is pretty incredible in Wadi Rum, because there's literally no ambient light there. The only light that's there is from the fires that they build at night. So so when you're out there looking at the sky, it feels like the stars are literally like 2 feet above your head. It's really, I've never seen the Milky Way look like that. I was shocked. I wasn't even sure what it was. So it is quite an all sensory moment, that's for sure. So these are some pictures of some of these inside tents. And this one on the left, or on the right, is the interior of a dome tent. So you can't see the front side of it, which is open, but you'll see there's even an air conditioner in there. So it is climate controlled. In fact, most of them do have air conditioning in them. So they're quite comfortable. And also, if any of you are like me and are a bit of a bug phobe, like I'm terrified of spiders and so on, I loved Wadi Rum because they just don't exist. I know that there's probably scorpions there, but I've been there so many times, I've never seen one. And being in these tents and stuff, I've never seen anything crawling or moving around. So it really gives me a sense of comfort. So I would highly recommend this experience. And now we're down on the most southern side of Jordan in a city called Aqaba. And Aqaba, even to Jordanians, they flock to Aqaba because it's very much a beach destination. It's on the Red Sea, and this Red Sea hugs the harbor of an interesting harbor, because you would have multiple countries all sharing this same part of the Red Sea. So you'd have Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. So when you're sitting on your balcony in your hotel, sipping a glass of wine, you're over at night and you're overlooking the lights of all those other countries' ports. It's really quite romantic, I think, quite beautiful. And here is a picture of me at a spice market. Again, I'm all about the spices and the food. So Aqaba is known for their spice markets, for buying coffee. So that's the delicious Turkish coffee that is mixed with cardamom. It is to die for. And nuts. People, even Jordanians go to Aqaba to buy coffee and nuts and spices. It's said to have the best in Jordan. And it's kind of like a mini Singapore in that, you know, electronics are really big there too. And there's tax reasons why. I think there's no taxes for certain nationalities and for Jordanians. So if you, you know, Jordanians will go there to purchase the TV or something like that. It's really quite a place to see. On the left there is some cinnamon sticks that I brought back. And I obviously can never consume that much cinnamon, but they're beautiful, and I use them like almost like an arrangement in my living room. They're so exotic looking. I mean, whoever saw cinnamon, you can see by the size of that man's hand. I mean, we're talking cinnamon sticks that are like 2 feet long. So they're pretty, it's pretty incredible. And then a picture there of me at one of the hotels. The hotel inventory there is absolutely stunning, and it's all about the pools and swimming in the Red Sea. Now, this is a beautiful, hospitable place to be in the water. It's not like the Dead Sea. And it's known for the water sports as a result. So there's all kinds of things you can do with regards to the water. It's a great family destination. And if you're into scuba diving or snorkeling, it's said to have the best scuba diving in the world because the coral reefs there are still in really fantastic shape. And golf. So this is the only golf resort that exists in Jordan. And in fact, as you might imagine, the Middle East is not known for its lush green grass. So you will find a lot of other Egyptians and Israelis coming here to golf as well. This whole development is called the Alea development, and it's absolutely stunning. There are Hilton hotels in this area that are all part of this, so it makes a beautiful getaway. And you know what I like to think about when I think about Jordan is these varied experiences. For such a small country, you go from a really chaotic Middle Eastern city down to a completely different experience with the Dead Sea. It's you know, foreign to anything you've ever seen. Quite an inhospitable environment, but with stunning hotels and pools. Very much known for its health and wellness. People go there for spas and so on. Then you move to Petra, again, another completely different experience and a World UNESCO Heritage Site. Wadi Rum, another UNESCO World Heritage Site and a completely different experience. And then Aqaba, which is very much like, you know, a beach destination. So for such a small country, I always think, wow, it packs a powerful punch. They're never going to get bored, that's for sure. And then we have the meaningful map of Jordan, which is something that's really near and dear to Jordanians. And if you're the type of traveler who likes to get off the beaten path and experience the local culture, this is a wonderful way to do this. There is a website that you can go on called, well, I've got the link there, but certainly Julie and Rhonda can send you out any information afterwards. But each one of those dots on the map is a different experience that gets you embedded into the community where the money that you spend stays within that community, many of which are women's travel initiatives or women's initiatives, so weaving and so on. So I can show you a few pictures here. This was at Bani Hamida, and this is a wonderful weaving project, and they have weavers there, and they must have, I don't know, when I was there, I would say maybe 10 of those massive weaving machines, and they make everything from carpets to bags to pillow covers, and they're doing this all from raw sheep wool that they then spin and they dye, and honestly, it was quite a great experience. And these getting in with these women, they're so delighted that you've come to see them. They are just incredible, and they're as curious about you as you would be about their lifestyle. And so this is in a small community just outside of Amman, and you know, then you get to see how they live. And these women are so generous; they can't wait to tell you. Sometimes there's usually one person in the area who will speak English, and but you'd be surprised how respect and curiosity, it doesn't require a language in common. It's pretty awesome experience. And then this is another one of these women's collaboratives just outside of an area called Madaba, just north of Amman. And this lady here on the left, who's got that $1 million smile, she runs this, and it's all food cooked by the community women. And it's like a restaurant. You can go in, and in front of her there, she's got her hand on a basket of grapes. But the really important thing is that basket in front of that is figs that were just picked from a tree. And honestly, like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I just ate and ate and ate and ate until I thought I was going to bust. I just thought it was amazing. But you can see some of these dishes here, you know, with the tabbouleh and the baba ganoush, which is that middle photo. And then there's chicken dishes and rice with almonds and chickens. Honestly, again, just unbelievable food. The dolmades that are rolled right there. And again, you know, you see the kids come and they're curious who you are. What are you doing? Oh, look at that funny lady with the, you know, the gray hair. Like, they just, it's really a great vibe. And so what happens then is they also then feed the rest of the community with any food that is not consumed, obviously not from table scraps, but like from, you know, they prepare big amounts, and it's subsidized by your dollars by going there to eat. So if anybody needs more information on how to get off the path, I'm happy to help you with that. But it's fabulous. It's really a great experience. And that's really my presentation. I so love talking about Jordan, and if you have any questions, I would be happy to address them now. And should I guess I stop sharing.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, for sure. That was amazing, Avril. Oh my gosh, the food. It must be supper time because I'm getting hungry just even watching that.
I was going to say that too.
Yeah, I can see why you love that country and where your passion comes from. It looks spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone has questions, if anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the chat there. I have a couple for you, Avril. So if somebody is planning a trip to Jordan, how long do you think would be like a typical, like a good amount of time to be in the country for?
Yeah, like I would say a minimum of 7 nights, really, because then that way you have a little bit of resting time between your stops. What is a bonus is that you're not spending all your time in transit. So, you know, like I said, it's a fairly small country. So you can move, you know, from one thing to the next in, you know, probably 3-4 hours at the max. You know, I know people will add on to these trips, and often people do combine it with Israel or Egypt or all three, because if you're there, you may as well. But I usually say between 5 and 7 at minimum. 10 would be ideal, because 10 gives you, you know, that full country experience. You really get, you know, I mean, I've given you the highlights, but there's so much more there to do that I haven't talked about. But these would be the big, you know, the big stops that you want to make. But if you get there, you know, if you figure it's a day in transit, you get a bounce day to kind of, you know, get used to the time change, and then you go. I think that would be perfect. 10 days would be ideal.
Okay, perfect. And so I know when we make the arrangements for people, it'll be sort of a prepay, you know, we'll have their accommodation, transportation, touring, and everything included. But would you say Jordan is an expensive place to visit, or more inexpensive or moderate? What would you rate it?
I would say it depends on how you like to travel, because they have everything from hostels to the Ritz-Carlton. So when you look at these hotels, like let's say if we're talking about a Fairmont or a Ritz-Carlton, you're looking at between $300 and $400 US a night. So it's no cheaper there than it would be here. I mean, they would have times of the year, I would assume, that would be less expensive. But like I said, there are, you know, a collection of hotels and experiences that you can stay in, including Airbnb. When the country is open again, Airbnb is a great way to consider, you know, embedding yourself in the community. Yeah, so I would say that you've got the full gamut, full scope of what you can spend. And the same goes for the restaurants. I would say the restaurants are less expensive than we experience here, but not dramatically. Like, it's not like going to Vietnam where you can, you know, survive on $5 a day. It's not that.
Okay.
But, you know, again, just depending on what your experience is like.
Okay. Perfect.
And often people want to know when the best time to go to Jordan is. And typically it's the spring and the fall. So, I mean, you can certainly go in the summer. And in fact, you'll have less crowds if you were to go in the summer because it's so darn hot. And if you like the heat, it's a perfect place to go. And certainly all the hotels have stunning pools and spas and so on. But it can be life-alteringly hot, especially if you want to navigate, you know, Petra or something, and you know you're bumping into 40 degrees. That's not necessarily ideal for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I would usually recommend March, April, May, even into early June, and then September, like mid-September, October to mid-November. And I've been there at end of November and it's fine in Amman. It can even snow there, if you can believe it, but not Edmonton snow. Like this is the snow that falls that doesn't actually stick, or, you know, it gets a little slushy. And I brought a really super lightweight coat, as we would wear here in Victoria. But then as you go south, like the Dead Sea is always going to be warm and Aqaba is always going to be warm. But the risk you run with going in off season is that sometimes it can be raining, and if it's raining too much, it can potentially close Petra areas that are due to flooding. So you know, that's the only thing I would say is if you've got unlimited time, then yeah, go off season and enjoy it. But if you on a timeline, then you want to get there when the weather is bankable.
Okay, perfect. Just one question about the country and how accessible it is. So of course, like in Petra, there are some places where there's a lot of stairs, but would you say that Jordan would be a country that would be easy for someone who like maybe had a few mobility issues?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like not unlike a lot of emerging countries, their sidewalks are not wheelchair accessible. Like I've noticed that, you know, like they don't, like we have little ramps here that you can, so, you know, from that perspective, it's probably not ideal. In Petra, there are plenty of people mobility challenged, and like they do have these horse and buggies. So, and you go roaring in. So it's a little covered buggy and a horse and a driver, and he'll take you right down right in front of the treasury. And often that's the biggest part that people want to see. They want to experience the treasury and then they go back. So even someone with mobility issues can do that. And like I said, also have horseback if you're into riding horses. But those buggies are probably what I see most of the people who are compromised using that. But yeah, I would agree that it's perhaps like it's not overly wheelchair friendly. But if you've got limited mobility and you can still move around, that's fine.
Okay, that's great. Okay, and what about like the sorts of locals that you'll be that you would kind of encounter throughout your time in Jordan? Like, is there a lot of poverty there? Do you see a lot of poverty? Is there is it, you know, what's that?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. It's like, how do you define that? Like, I guess the way I look at it is I was shocked. I mean, I live in Victoria and it's, you know, known for being a beautiful city and thing. And I walk to work. I'm lucky enough to walk to work. And I pass a lot of panhandlers and people that I kind of like walk the other, like I go on the other side of the road sometimes. And in Amman, so this big Middle Eastern chaotic city, I never once saw anybody begging. And I said to someone, why is that? Why am I not seeing anybody panhandling or begging for money? And my guide, who is Jordanian, he said, oh, in Jordan, we believe that if someone needs something in your area, your neighborhood, then you look after them. And because it's a Muslim country, most Jordanians don't drink. Now, that doesn't mean you can't drink. Drinking's fine. You'll go into some restaurants and they're licensed and others will not. Not because they don't believe in it, but because they never sell enough to bother. But like in all the hotels, you'll always have a lounge and a bar, and many of the restaurants you can drink, but not all. So I often think, you know, there's no alcohol abuse. Like you just don't see drug addicted or alcohol addicted people living on the street through addiction. So you know, it's an interesting thing. That said, when you get outside of the city and you drive and you see the way some of the Bedouins live, our interpretation might be that it's, I wouldn't say poverty in that they're starving. They're not. It's a humble way of living. Like Bedouins are still nomadic. They still tent. I had the great fortune of staying in a place in an area called Wadi Rum, which is in a biosphere, like a natural biosphere. It's just stunning. And you're embedded in with a Bedouin community. And you see the way they live, and they take you and they show you how they make their bread and how they make their coffee, and they cook for you. And you see the way they live, and it's very humble, but man, they're happy people, and the kids are gorgeous, and they're not starving at all. They are quite self-sufficient. So is there poverty? For sure, but not that it's outward and you can, every step you feel like you're wading through that. It's not the experience that you'll have there. They're very proud and generous people.
Okay, just more simple. People are content. They're just a different way of life.
Happy.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, I don't think we have any more questions unless anyone has last one to pop in, but thank you, Avril. That was amazing. And like Rhonda said, I'm so glad it's almost supper time because those pictures just look so good. Yeah. So thank you again.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Yeah, thanks for everyone for joining us. We appreciate too, some people have been letting us know what kind of destinations they'd like to see in the future. So feel free, like keep sending those over to us, and we're going to try to cover as many as possible. We want to do a session in the coming weeks where for Canada, and we were just wondering, we thought we'd do a little poll maybe in the Q&A is there, or in the chat, where you would like to see. We're deciding between Vancouver Island, where Avril's from, which is so beautiful and lots to see.
Yeah, come here.
Yeah. And or the Yukon, or Churchill with all the polar bears. So yeah, let us know what you would like to see next. Next week on Thursday, same time, 4 o'clock, we're going to have, our guest is going to be Jonathan, and he's going to be representing Ireland. So we're going to take a trip to Europe. So that will be wonderful. We're looking forward to that as well. So yeah, again, everyone, thank you so much. It's such a privilege and a joy to have you with us. We just love serving you in this way and giving you a little glimpse into travel. We all know how much you love to travel as much as we do, and you're missing it. So this is just a little oasis of travel here. So have a great evening, everyone. Thanks for dreaming with us. Hopefully you're inspired in hearing more about Jordan, and and great. Everyone have a great evening.
Yeah. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
Avril, Julie.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.